Well, today we're going to talk about Jesus, not in the manger, but Jesus the rabble-rouser. There he goes again. In today's reading, Jesus is talking about the powers of the heavens being shaken. Who are the powers of the heavens? In Jesus' time, it was Rome. For Jesus' followers, and for just about anyone who wasn't in a position of power, Rome represented everything that was wrong with the world. Shaking up the powers of the heavens pointed to a change in the way things worked. It offered hope to those who lived under the rule of tyrants. So Jesus' words are revolutionary, claiming that the powers of this world will be shaken up and that the one would come with power and glory, may today bring a visual of earthquakes and solar flares and all kinds of apocalyptic destruction. And in all that destruction, the mighty Jesus comes to save the day. But back then, for the powerful and for the powerless, it brought visions of the emperor and kings and governors being thrown from their places of power while a new emperor came to take over. So, Jesus was an absolute revolutionary, an absolute rabble-rouser. But I sure hope there's more to the story, and there is. But then Jesus talks about this generation not passing away until all things have taken place. Way back when, the early followers of Christ expected that he was going to return soon, and very soon, as in during their lifetime. And it didn't happen. Why? Does this generation mean something different from about 40 years? There has to be some explanation. Some have said that this generation refers to humanity's generation. And I don't know for sure, but I believe that it meant something different than what the original people thought. People originally thought, not the original people. You know, God's good at doing that whole thing of having a different plan in mind than what we think. Over the years, people have predicted dates for Christ's return. There have been hundreds of predictions covering dates like 500, 1000, 1420, 1666, 1809, 1910, 1949, 1967, and at least 30 predicting some date between 1980 and 2024. None of them were right. Well, what are all the here's when it's going to happen predictors thinking? Nobody knows when the story ends. Nobody really knows how the story ends. We don't get insider information so we can stock up on fuel and food and water before all hell breaks loose. Jesus did have some instructions, though, for the disciples about preparing. It starts with the short parable of the fig tree. He took the attention off of scary things and put it on more ordinary things. The fig tree sprouts leaves at regular intervals. The seasons come and go. And while they were in that kind of mindset, he gave them instructions. What were the instructions that Jesus gave? Wait. Be patient. Pray. The season will come soon enough. Just keep alert and don't get all wrapped up in the worries of life. There's no call to panic as if catastrophe was imminent. There's no call to rise up and fight. There's no call to stock up on food and fuel and water and to build bomb shelters. There's no call to any violence at all. But, we're good at getting angry and pointing our guns and tanks and bombs at each other. We all need to stop. Instead of looking at violent times as something God is orchestrating or something that is holy and necessary, what if we saw it simply as violence? Everything that we attach to the violence, divine retribution, holy cleansing, stopping terror, etc., isn't good. It's just violence. It's not God ordained or God mechanized. It's just violence, and then we have to stop putting it all on God. At the end of today's reading, Jesus makes no call of any kind to violence. His words of waiting and patience and prayer were loud and clear then, and they are loud and clear now. Put down your weapons. Stop expecting the worst. Live focused on me and the hope that I bring. These are what Jesus says. And so we enter this Advent season. We're preparing for the celebration of Jesus' birth. We're going to worry that our decorations aren't perfect, that we can't buy enough or get the perfect presents. We're going to be swamped and wonder how so much activity can be packed into such a short time. We're going to wonder if we'll be able to survive the month. And Jesus has instructions for us. Wait. Be patient. Pray. The season will come soon enough. Just keep alert and don't get all wrapped up in the worries of life. And then there's one for me. One more instruction that's really for me, from me. I was going to say it this week to Kathy, who had made a mention about it just a few weeks ago. I said during my first weeks here, or even during the time before I was elected, is that, or when it all started, what's that week where I preached and everybody voted? That was fun. I said that I like to end the sermons with the title of the sermon. And so usually it does that way. But for the last probably 8 weeks, a couple times it didn't. It wasn't perfect. And Kathy called me out on it. She was like, hey, you said that you were going to do this. And then I didn't. I said, yeah, I knew that it was turning out that way, and it just didn't work out on those Sundays. But for this week, after wait, be patient, pray, keep alert, and don't get all wrapped up in the worries of life. And for me, don't get too uptight that you can't end this week's sermon with some profound thought that ends with the title, Signs. Amen.